girl with a preppy vibe. Came to the spot with a friend of mine. She caught my eye. From the beginning, I was hooked. I can't tell a lie. Fresh, dressed, and fly. I respect her mind. Some dude trying to impress, but looking goofy at the same time. He bugging, she looking. I'm going for mine. Confidently, I approach with that eye-to-eye contact. She smiling while adjusting her hair, so I smile back. Pretty girl, what's your name? She said, is that true? Cause if it is, your name perfect for you. My name handsome. She said your name fits you too. See, we was clicking, and after that, time just flew. Then that time came to talk to her pops. He gave his blessing. And then that mind frame I had was honoring and protecting. I knew she was the one when we met. I found my future girl, and no other woman compares to my girl.
Hey y'all, welcome to the check-in. Happy Thursday. Yes. How are y'all doing today? I went into the office today, y'all, and let me tell you, it was a very low-key winter vibe going on. I got on my cute little hat, my sweater, and some corduroys, okay? Yes, get into it, honey. They asked me, was I okay? Because I didn't have no stilettos on and no sweater dress, y'all. But anyway, today we have a lot going on. We have a couple of things from the State of the Union. We also have a little something from Miss Hillary Clinton from her deposition that took place today. And what else do we have? We have a new topic regarding Medicaid fraud and all of those things. Okay, so we are going to have us a nice time tonight. We're going to unpack some things, watch some videos, and we're going to get into it the way we normally do. Okay? Let me go ahead and get myself set up here on this on my tablet here, and we are going to get into it, y'all. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. But let me tell you, up first, we're going to do this cute little video. I'm sure you've seen it. They have like these little babies that pretend to be adults. And I thought it was such the cutest thing with these babies pretending to be, President Trump, President Biden, and then some other folks from our congressional parties, right? So we're gonna go into that first, and then we're gonna get to the business after that. All right, let's get into it.
All right, Joe. Last night I gave what a lot of people are saying is the greatest speech they've ever heard. Tell me you watched it, Joe.
Oh, come on, man. You know, your speeches start long after my bedtime. What were you giving a speech for anyhow?
It was the State of the Union address, Joe. I can't believe you were napping very stupidly during my very impressive and long speech.
Huh? State of the Onion? That sounds groovy, man.
Not State of the Onion, you lunatic. State of the Union. It's where I give a speech and talk about how great I am and how I solved all the problems you caused in your very pathetic and weak presidency.
Oh, come on, man. Most of it was Kamala's fault anyways. So what did you say?
Well, I thought I should be very unifying and said hello to some of the Democrats.
Hey there, Chuck. I see you there with your little friend Hakeem. I see you still wearing your sombrero with your Super Mario mustache. And over there we have an inbred congressperson who loves marrying her brother. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgusting person.
That's good, man. I'm glad you were making them feel welcome.
I was very civil, Joe, but I did trap them because I know they are all baby Trump deranged and they always have to do the opposite of what I say.
How'd you do that, man?
Okay, people. If you believe protecting Americans is the primary job of the government, stand up. If you love criminals and illegal aliens, stay seated and look like stupid people.
Oh boy, that's probably not going to be good for them in midterms.
Oh, it was a thing of beauty, Joe. Your maniac party just loves criminals so much. Then I spoke a little bit about how you very foolishly ruined the economy.
Oh, come on, man.
I left Sleepy Joe a fantastic economy, okay? And he flushed it down the toilet and then took a big drink. He has such a low IQ. but I have fixed all his problems very quickly, and now the United States is the hottest country anywhere in the world. Everybody says so.
It's the global warming. The sun monster is just brutal.
Bernie, just eat your pretzels and keep quiet, okay?
Hey, man, how come he gets pretzels? I want a pretzel.
Ooh.
Of course, you would have a pretzel very dumbly in your diaper. It's disgusting. But I also talked about how I'm making medicine much cheaper.
I'm making medicine so much cheaper, okay? You would think that you radical Democrats would like that, since all of your voters are on antipsychotics.
Then I talked a little bit about how we're trying to save some money.
The Somali pirates have pillaged our great nation for over $18 billion. And I'm looking at you, Ilhan, and your disgusting brother husband. So I'm appointing Vice President J.D. Vance to handle the war on fraud.
Well, it sounds like overall it was a good speech, man.
Yes, it was, Joe. It was the longest speech in history. You would have probably fallen asleep or wandered off halfway through.
Oh, come on, man.
To end, I decided to be very diplomatic and uncontroversial.
So we have done so much in the first year: stopped wars, broke records in the stock market, closed the border, and so much more. If you think the first year of my second term was great, just wait until the first year of my third term.
So it was a good night, Joe. You would have liked it. Unbelievable.
Before we go, we want to honor a great hero, our newest member, Los 78. Los, thank you very much for the support. And all you patriots out there, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and a comment. Let me know what your favorite part of the speech was. And don't forget to smash the like button like it's a radical Democrat who won't stand up for the American citizens. And visit Pacifier Politics for more.
Y'all, that was so cute to me. Don't get me wrong. They were depicting real life events. Okay, but yeah, it was too cute. But I tell you what though, they did say up front that the baby Trump was saying that, he was giving out, his accolades and things like that for what he's done in the last year. And I told y'all that he is going to give you a progress report, okay? What we got here? We got Mr. James Ferris in the house. Welcome to the check-in, Mr. James Ferris. Thank you for the comments and the compliments, sir. We got Mr. Lou, and you know it here. He's saying, what is going on here? Yes, we had the political babies on. I thought it was funny. Good way to open up the day, right? He says, going well. How is yours going? Mine is going good because I am at home and not at work. The only thing that will be better is me having a glass of wine, which I will later on. We got Abby here. Hey, Abby, welcome to the check-in. How you been doing? Yes, we got Abby from Canada up in the house. Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. Lou. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Yes, appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to move on. We are going to talk about the State of the Union. And, we did a session, a few days ago when they had changed the tariffs. And we were wondering, hey, how do people get their money back and stuff like that? So we have Secretary of Treasury, Mr. Bissett, that has some things to say about the union, as well as gave some insight as into the process of people getting their money and stuff from these reverse and the tariffs. So let's get into that.
I want to turn now to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was in the chamber tonight listening to the president deliver his State of the Union address. Secretary Bessent, thank you so much for staying up late with us. We really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. Get your reaction to everything we just heard. In the run-up to this speech, I spoke with a number of Republicans who say they wanted to hear President Trump express his empathy for Americans who don't feel like the economy is working for them yet. We heard the president say that the economy is roaring. Do you think that he expressed empathy for those Americans who say they are still struggling.
Kristen, I can tell you the president never stops working for the American people. And I think he made the point that he has brought down prices. He has brought down mortgage rates, the large tax cuts. I'm also the IRS commissioner. I can tell you that 47% of the returns we're getting, Kristen, have one of his 4 signature policies: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So Americans are feeling that, and I think we will see we're going to have very large refunds, and Americans will change their withholding, and I think that they are going to see it. We saw a big jump way above expectations in consumer confidence today. And Chris, the important thing was it's in the forward expectations. So if the Democrats want to run on the economy in November, bring it on, because I think we're going to have a great economy this year. We had a great economy. Quarter would have been great if it weren't for the Democratic shutdown.
Well, and as you know, some prices have come down. Some prices, some groceries, for example, have gone back up. And if you look at the polling, the president's underwater on his handling of the economy, that critical issue. So what do you say to Americans who argue they're not feeling change fast enough?
Well, again, Kristen, the president's numbers have been improving since October. Prices are coming down, and I think we are going to see an acceleration here. We've had real wage gains every month since the president's been in office. And again, of course, Americans are traumatized. They had a 21.5%. The cost of living increase in the Biden administration, more for working Americans. That was probably north of 30, a loss of the 3 or 4% in real purchasing power. Inflation was up 2.7% last year. I think it's going to come back down to the Fed's target this year. And we're working every day to bring it down.
Mr. Secretary, I have to ask you about this announcement that President Trump made. He said that the administration will give what he referred to as often forgotten American workers access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker, vowing, quote, "We will match your contributions up to $1,000 each year." Can you tell me from a practical standpoint, how will this work? Does it need congressional approval, and is that possible in this election year?
Well, we can do it through reconciliation. And again, this is the president coming back for working Americans, those who've been left behind, the ones who don't have the 401ks. Certainly the federal employees, Congress, get all these benefits, and we will be rolling that out in the coming weeks and months. The president wanted to preview it in his speech, but I think this is going to be a very big part of working Americans' retirement program, because there is a tremendous amount of financial insecurity. The president also talked about his signature policy, Trump accounts, $1,000 for every newborn born during his term that's going to be invested in the stock market. And Kristen, currently 38% of Americans have no exposure to the equity market, and we think over time this is going to remedy that, so everybody will have a stake in our great innovative economy and the American dream.
All right, let me turn now to tariffs. Obviously, a number of questions swirling around what.
Before we get into the tariffs, they were talking about, beforehand, all of the increases in pay and reduction in things. But I told y'all my electric bill ain't reduced. It done went up. It is like, I think the final bill for the month is like $367. I got that today. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm in an apartment, y'all. I'm not in a house. And it's $367 for an apartment. This is insane. Last month it was like, I think $297. But I digress. We got Abby in the chat here. We've been catching up, y'all. He was in DC this weekend. Glad he had a good time. I was in the house, okay, preparing for the snow. Yes, I was. But we got Abby, we got Miss Amber Hayes here. Welcome to the check-in. She says gas prices still wild. Shaking my head. Trump ain't fixing what Biden did. You can't spend all the money and expect the next person to be perfect, but he could do more for the common folk. Got you. Yeah, I went and got gas before went home, and the gas was like $2.95 a gallon, but that's regular. The other grades were definitely in the $3 range. But yeah, my biggest thing right now is my what electric bill. Okay, so he's about to start talking now about the tariffs and how people. I guess I guess the process of how one might attempt to get um a reimbursement of the tariffs. It's still a long process from what I'm understanding. But let's go ahead and get into that from the Secretary of Treasury.
Happens next after the Supreme Court did strike down the president's ability to impose the tariffs. Let me ask you.
No, Krista, let's be precise here. What the Supreme Court did was rule against the president's ability to use a narrow mandate, i.e. EPA. It did not strike down the 232 or 301 tariffs, and it did not strike down his ability to it actually reinforced his ability to move those up, and he has the ability to use something else called Section 122. So that's what the Supreme Court did on Friday. It was a very narrow ruling.
And it's my understanding that these new tariffs that he's imposed, he can impose them, the 15% tariffs that he announced over the weekend for 150 days. Given the legal challenges, given the Supreme Court ruling, why not go to Congress? Republicans have the majority in both chambers, and codify this in Congress.
Because, again, Kristen, I think what you, the American people, have been misled. With the 232s and the 301s, Congress did give the president authority to put on tariffs. So what we're going to do is the 122s are a bridge for the 150 days. And then primarily with 301s, USTR will do studies, and those are country studies. And we'll see, we will switch over to increase 301s. And I can tell you at Treasury, our estimate is that using these increased authorities, the temporary bridge of 122, for 2026, the tariff income is virtually unchanged.
So are you saying that these tariffs are going to be permanent, and that you think you have the legal authority to make these tariffs permanent, the 15% tariffs?
Again, not the 15, Kristen. The 15 is a 150-day authority. What we have the ability to do is to do studies, and the 301s primarily, but also the 232s, can move back up to the previous tariff level. And since President Trump's first term, the 301s and the 232s have proven very resilient. They've survived more than 4,000 legal challenges.
And let me just zoom out. Is the goal to make tariffs writ large permanent?
The goal is to reshore America and stop unfair trade practices.
All right, let me ask you, because obviously one of the questions is about potential refunds. The president didn't say whether he's going to refund what's been estimated to be about 100. Let me ask the question. Let me just ask the question, because it's about $134 billion in revenue. You told me in September, quote, we would have to give a refund if the Supreme Court ruled against the tariffs and decided that was necessary. FedEx is now suing the administration for tariff refunds. If the court sides with FedEx, Mr. Secretary, is the administration prepared to offer those refunds?
Well, Kristen, let's be clear here. The Supreme Court remanded the refunds back down to a lower court. There will be a 42-day period before that even happens, and then we will see what the lower court says, and we will follow what the lower court says to do.
So meaning if the lower court says that you do have to issue these refunds, the administration is prepared to issue refunds?
We will follow the ruling of the lower court, Kristen.
And your reaction to this FedEx case?
Well, I'll point out a lot of things. The CEO of FedEx is on the U.S.-China Business Council, which I find very interesting because, China is the largest payer of U.S. tariffs. So, take that for what you will. And the other thing, too, is why don't we see if these corporations, I think all these corporations should come out and tell everyone, the CEO of FedEx, you should have him on your show and have him explain how he's going to get the money back to the consumers if he, in fact, pass those costs along.
That's a good question.
All right, let me ask you, broadly speaking, this speech was historic because it was the longest State of the Union address in history. It was.
Let me say this, y'all. So that is a good question. Like, if they were to receive the reimbursement from the tariffs, like FedEx or the companies, how do they provide that funding back to their clientele? That's a good question. And I guess we'll see how this works out, right? Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Do you guys think that they're going to provide that funding back to the actual common folk, if you will, that paid for this stuff? I understand, people are saying, "Oh, well, I'm a company, I need my money back." But what about the customers and the consumers that they pass those additional costs on to? See what I'm saying?
Also, the first State of the Union address, according to our research, that was delivered against the backdrop of a partial government shutdown. Of course, as you know, Mr. Secretary, Department of Homeland Security currently shut down over this battle over reforms to ICE. Now that the president has delivered his State of the Union address, do you think there can be a deal to reopen the government? And is the president willing to make some concessions to Democrats to make that happen?
Well, we'll have to see, Kristen. The Democrats and the party have shut down. They were responsible for the longest shutdown in government history. It brought our GDP down in the fourth quarter between 1% and 2%. They've shown over and over again they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the economy. They want what they want, and it'll be up to the president to negotiate with them.
Well, but I guess the question is, and some Democrats say that the White House hasn't been negotiating. How long do you think this shutdown is going to last? Republicans are in control of both chambers and the White House.
Again, you're in control, but are you going to say? Kristen? Are you saying that Republicans should break the filibuster?
Well, no, you tell me. Do you think Republicans should break the filibuster?
You are not in control. I published a Washington Post op-ed saying that Republicans should break the filibuster because the Democrats have said that they were going to do it. If it weren't for Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, who the Democrats sent home, they would have broken it in President Biden's term. So, in game theory, when you have a bad actor who is repeatedly been a bad actor, you should move first. So I actually think we should. I think we should do it for the SAVE Act, and I think we shouldn't let the Democrats shut down the government again.
Mr. Secretary, you also sit on the National Security Council. I do want to ask you about Iran. We heard President Trump address that tonight. We know that he is considering whether to launch another military attack against Iran. There are critical talks taking place on Thursday. The president tonight saying his preference is for diplomacy. The president also saying Iran, the concern is working to build missiles that could reach the United States. Does the administration have evidence of that?
Again, you could listen to what the president said, and the president's preference is always through peace. But it's important to realize Iran is the head of the snake for international chaos and disorder. They are the largest sponsor of state terrorism, whether it's in Venezuela, whether it's in the Middle East, and as the president said, and even many of the Democrats who sat on their hands for a lot of very important moments, they agreed with the president that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
All right, Mr. Secretary, usually you and I are talking on a Sunday morning. I appreciate your staying up very late with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
So what do y'all think about what he had to say regarding everything? I mean, I understand that, for the Iran situation, that, yeah, we always want to, choose peace as the first option, right? But we'll see what happens. Now, just to catch up with what's in the comments here, we have Mark here. Welcome to the live stream, saying 100% tariffs. And we have Jackie saying, we paid, they paid, we all deserve a refund. I agree, 100%. And then we have the Penguin City. Welcome to the check-in, saying thing number 2 from Dr. Seuss. Okay, that's your favorite character, huh? Nice. So I had a poll here where I asked a question about where are the results? The question was, where did my poll go? Yeah, my poll is gone. I asked a question about the tariffs. Should the president be allowed to do them? And normally my poll will still show in the chat, but it's gone. Okay, I'm a little sad about that. Okay. So I remember seeing that maybe at one point, well, it was kind of skewed when it came to the yes and the no. But thank y'all for participating in that poll. And so next up, we have this video. Now you guys remember there was a lady that was in the crowd that was telling Trump, you killed Americans, right? Because he had asked the question about, okay, if you believe that the American government's responsibility is to take care of the American people, like, please stand. And a lot of Democrats did not. So while that was happening, this lady, Ilhan, I think is her name, she was yelling, you killed American people. I think she's referring to, the 2 people that got killed in Minnesota, right? Oh, okay. We have the poll here. Thank you, Mr. Lou. So it was 55% said no, 45% said yes, total of 86 votes. So thank y'all for participating. So do you believe that President Trump should be allowed to impose any tariff that he wishes? 55% no, 45% yes. Okay. Now, back to what I was finna say here. So the lady Ilhan, she had a guest with her at the State of the Union. And this lady was someone that was detained by ICE previously. And apparently this woman got arrested at the State of the Union. Okay. So we are going to look into this. But before I do that, let me check out this comment from Sergio Escucha. Welcome to the check-in. He says, the higher the tariff, the higher the prices. So we, the people, pay the tariff. Okay. The higher the tariff, the higher the prices. So we, the people, pay the tariff. Okay. Now, is there a part 2 to that, Sergio? If not, that's fine. But okay. I see where we're going with this. Okay. So I'm going to show you all the situation with Miss what is her name? Her name is Alaya. Yeah, Alaya. I don't know how to say her last name, but let's get into that, y'all.
Continue to cover President Trump's State of the Union. We're joined now by Alia Rahman, who attended the speech as a guest of Minneapolis Congressmember Ilhan Omar. Last month, federal immigration officers in Minneapolis violently dragged Alia out of her car. She told agents she was disabled, that she had a brain injury, but they ignored her pleas for medical attention. She had been headed to a doctor's appointment when she was dragged out of her car. Video of the incident went viral. Last month, she testified at a hearing held by congressional Democrats in Capitol Hill.
I was carried face down through the street by my cuffed arms and legs while yelling that I had a brain injury and was disabled. I now cannot lift my arms normally. I was never asked for ID, never told I was under arrest, never read my rights, and never charged with a crime.
That was Alia Rahman testifying on Capitol Hill. Last night, she was removed from the gallery at the State of the Union, then arrested and jailed. She got out at like 4 o'clock this morning. Alia, welcome back to Democracy Now! Tell us what you went through last night, and then what happened to you in Minneapolis.
Thanks for having me back, Amy. Yeah, the reason I am wearing the same outfit I was at the State of the Union and in the media I did with Representative Omar, I was a guest of Representative Ilhan Omar's, is because I got out from a hospital visit and the custody of Capitol Police just before 4 a.m. And I had already been scheduled to talk to you, so I figured I would come and tell folks what happened. I was not just removed and arrested. I was arrested so physically that 2 other attendees upstairs attempted to intervene in officers pulling on my shoulders after I told them I have a torn rotator cuff tendon and multiple cartilage tears in both of my shoulders. That is what happened in the audio you just played. That is why I cannot lift my arms normally. 2 women in the gallery, and thank you to the woman in the white shirt with the red writing who said, I need you to take your hands off of her and just let her walk with her cane. They did not do that, and only when their own sergeant intervened in a back stairwell of that building to say, stop, we need to get her medical care and a wheelchair, did they stop tugging on me, while again I was saying disabled. Amy, would you like to know why I was told that I was removed and arrested?
Yeah, why?
The sergeant of arms told me it was because I was standing up, silently. No buttons, no facial expressions, no gestures, no signs, not one sound. Standing up. There are only 2 things you can do at the State of the Union, and they are sit down and stand up. All kinds of people were standing up all night, me too. I stood up at the moment that I heard this man say some of the most racist things I have heard come out of any leader's mouth about the people of my city, and continue to trash talk my state of Minnesota and glorify DHS, the people who did this to me and who are being allowed to roam free on the streets.
If you could very quickly, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but explain why you have a torn rotator cuff, why you have tendons ripped in both shoulders.
Yeah, why?
I have a tendon ripped in one shoulder, and then in that same shoulder, another cartilage rip, and in my left shoulder, 2 cartilage tears with what my doctor called ragged pieces of tissue hanging in the joint that may need to be operated on. That happened because in the audio you played, I was talking about when I was pulled out of my car. Most people see the first part of that video. I was put on the ground behind my car, cuffed behind my back, and then carried through the street. Face down, I was lifted up by my wrists and ankles with my hands already cuffed behind my back. And then once I was in the Whipple Center, instead of getting me a walking aid because I'm disabled, they just jerked me around by my shoulders for a while. So that's what I'm dealing with. That's what I came here with. And I really wonder if these folks have noticed yet that every time you try to break my body, you fuel my spirit. I was arrested for standing up. This administration wins 0 prizes for their command of metaphors, my friend. The reason I stood up at that moment was not to disrupt anything. I was silent, arms by my side. I stood up because hearing this level of racism, I wanted to see with my own eyes, unmediated by anyone's lens, who had still come to this building to govern if there were any grown-ups down there? Who really believes this lie that was used to brutalize our city, my body? And if unchecked, this is the lie that will be used to brutalize communities of color, all sorts of communities, as people in this country, as black folks, indigenous folks, as this has happened for centuries based on lies. And you know what? I can't think of ever a time that someone has been very physically arrested or arrested at all or even removed for silently standing up at the State of the Union. That is what you do. The only reason I can think that they thought me standing silently there was a protest is because by this point, my body, unafraid, even if broken, standing and looking at these people in their face, well, that must be a protest to you.
You know, I wonder if there's a charge standing without applauding, because certainly Republicans stood up dozens of times throughout President Trump's State of the Union and applauded. But
yes,
you
Amy,
stood
and
silently.
Actually, the moment that they physically started removing me by my shoulders, all kinds of Republicans were standing up. I know they were Republicans because who was seated next to me? The sheriff of Coffee County, Alabama, and the mayor of one of the mayors from Nevada. They were standing up. None of them were arrested. I was much quieter than them.
Well, Alia Rahman, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Arrested at the State of the Union last night, just got out a few hours before this broadcast, came right to the studio. Alia was a guest of Representative Ilhan Omar. Last month, federal immigration agents in Minneapolis violently dragged her out of her car as she told them she was disabled. Video of the incident went viral. We'll also link to our previous conversation with her after that attack. Thanks.
Y'all, I'm trying to look up and see if I could find real quick, like, why was she, dragged out of her car, to begin with back in January? Like, who just does that, right? So I see something saying it is pretty much said what she did on the video. Aliyah Rahman speaks out for the first time after being dragged from her car by ICE agents in Minneapolis while trying to get to a doctor's appointment. She said she was confused by conflicting commands from officers, struggled to get medical help while in custody, and describes what she calls dehumanizing treatment after her arrest. But I guess my question is where was she at as far as why they would drag her out of a car? Yeah, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat in case you guys already have something in here. Um so we have let me see here. We have okay, so Kiefer was saying that traitor should be quiet. And yeah, so Kiefer, what is it? Why is she a traitor? Help me understand. Then we got Sharon Miros, um, Shuffle. Welcome to the check-in saying, why was she pulled out of the car? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But Tammy Pierce, welcome to the live stream, is saying that will happen when they have to pull you from your car. Get out next time. Okay. So Kenneth Caldwell says to Tammy, ICE agents do not have the same authority as local police do. Virginia Hobby says, what a drama queen. She obstructed SOU. Welcome to the check-in. And we got Lou saying, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Yes, please. We have Sharon saying, if you protest, you must face the consequences or stay home. So Sharon, so are you saying that this lady was out there protesting? I'm asking genuinely for those who think I might be trolling. I'm not. I don't troll. Um, we have Virginia Hobby. Welcome to the check-in, saying political activist. Okay, and then we got Abby saying she was definitely in violation of something. That's what I'm thinking. But I mean, I've seen her story, but I only see the perspective of, okay, she was on her way to a medical appointment. She got pulled out the car, but I don't know like the context. Like, was she in a environment where they were like protesting? Like, what was the context around this situation? That's what I don't know. Um, let's see, we have okay, so we got Abby, we got Gen X, welcome, saying, um, that's why PBS lost its funding. Tammy Pierce says, interfere with ICE agents. She had been at that all day. Okay. All right. So Tammy bringing us some clarity here. So she had been interfering with the ICE agents all day. Okay. Then we got Sharon Myro saying, laugh out loud, Ilmar. That says it all. I'm out of here. Then we got Douglas Pack saying bye. Okay. Thank y'all for stopping by. I know you're gone now, but thank you for stopping by. We got James Christmas. Welcome to the live stream. Saying she was trying to obstruct ICE operations in Minneapolis. Okay. And then we have Tammy Meeks. Welcome to the live stream. Saying, tell her to stop lying on ICE. You're trying to make ICE be the problem when there's a problem. Okay. So Kenneth Caldwell is saying Capitol Police told her to sit down, which she refused to do. That is not a violation. Okay. Then we had Tammy Pierce saying she was arrested for demonstrating at the State of the Union address. Yes, I did see that. We just played that video. Well, yeah. She was saying she was standing up or whatever. Okay. So Kenneth Caldwell is saying that wasn't the charge according to the report. It was because she refused to sit down. So she did say that in the video that she was standing silently. Then Sharon says, don't know why then was she pulled out of the car. So we have two things here, y'all. So back in January, she was in her car and got pulled out. She was on her way to a medical appointment. That's one scenario, right? Then the second scenario is that at the State of the Union, she said that she was standing silently and then she was escorted out and arrested. So there were two different things that happened pertaining to this one lady. And that's why I was asking before, like, well, why is there so much attention on her per se? You know, I haven't heard other people except one lady who's been detained like 3 or 4 times, but why is she like being detained and arrested? This disabled woman, because she called herself disabled, okay? So I'm being respectful with the terms, right? So then we have Lou saying, yeah, she was in the protest environment. Okay, got you. So Tammy said, Google said she was arrested for protesting the SOU address. Okay. Lou says, not sure if she was obstructing or if they just assumed she was. And then we got Tammy saying, double tap the screen. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so it sounds like they said she was protesting at the State of the Union address, and then that she was in the protest environment when she got arrested back in January. Okay. All right, y'all. So I think I feel like I'm caught up on what's going on with Miss Alaya here. So I guess we'll see what happens with that scenario, right? So we're going to move along, okay? We have a little bit of an update regarding Cuba. So let's get into that.
All right, Joe. Last night I gave what a lot of people are saying is.
I ain't gonna play that again. I thought it was cute, okay, but let me go. Let's get to Cuba.
So this morning, we were made aware by Cuban authorities of an incident off the coast of Cuba. We immediately began to look into it. As it stands now, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard, others are involved. The majority of the information we still possess is what Cuban authorities are providing both the public and the U.S. government. We have our embassy on the ground in Havana working this as we speak, asking for access to the people that were on those vessels, if they were American citizens or permanent residents. According to the Cuban regime, that the boat was registered in Florida. We're tracking that down. We will know shortly, and we will know quickly, many more facts about this incident than we know right now. The majority of the facts being publicly reported are those by the information provided by the Cubans. We will verify that independently, and as we gather more information, then we'll be prepared to respond accordingly. I'm not going to speculate, because I'm not going to opine on what I don't yet know, but we're going to find out exactly what happened here, and then we'll respond accordingly. Okay? Any questions?
Have you been in touch with anyone in Cuba? And I mean, what's your...
Well, the authorities in Cuba, the border guard has constant contact with the Coast Guard, so they alerted them this morning. I was made aware of it at that time. Oftentimes in these incidents and things like this, the initial reports are incomplete, and then as the day has progressed, I think early this morning, certainly by 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. this time, maybe a little later our time here, I reached out and we began to look at it independently. We have various different elements of the U.S. government that are trying to verify elements of the story based on what's been provided to us now. I know that the Coast Guard has responded to the area, to the vicinity. I'll need to get more fidelity and understanding from them once I get on the airplane about what exactly they're looking for. I don't know who has possession of the vessel, which is the first thing we would want to have. We obviously want to have access to these people if they are American citizens or U.S. residents.
Have you spoken to any Cuban officials about this?
No, we haven't spoken directly about this now. No, I'm not going to comment about any conversations we've had on this topic. Suffice it to say, what it's important to be out there and everyone needs to know is that we're going to have our own information on this, and we're going to figure out exactly what happened. And there are a number of things that could have happened here. But I'm not even going to, I was about to say, I'm not even going to speculate as to what it could have been. It's a wide range of things. But suffice it to say, it is highly unusual to see shootouts in open sea like that. It's not something that happens every day. It's something, frankly, that hasn't happened with Cuba in a very long time. But we're going to find out. We're not going to base our conclusions on what they've told us. And I'm very, very confident that we will know the full story of what happened here, and we will know it soon. And then, we'll respond appropriately based on what that information tells us.
So what do you all think really happened out there in the middle of the water between these Cuban Americans and the Cubans? They said, I think, 4 people ended up being unalived and the rest of them ended up being injured, and they gave them aid and whatnot. But I thought it was interesting when the gentleman here said that, they're gonna get the facts and then they're gonna address it accordingly, appropriately. So that sounded real loaded to me, y'all. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like he said, you don't really see that often where you have like people doing that. I mean, when they had the little pirate situation, wherever that ocean was at. Yeah, but right here with Cuba, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. So to this poll here, did you all hear about this woman being arrested at the Statement of the Union? 68% said no, 32% said yes, 41 votes. Yeah, I was surprised about that myself, y'all. But I'm interested to find out more, switching topics back to the Cuba thing. Interested to hear more about why that took place the way that it did out there in the ocean. So Tammy Pierce said pharmaceuticals probably. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. That's why I be talking to y'all, because y'all got some different perspectives. So okay, you might be onto something with that. And I think I saw something else up here earlier. But yeah, okay. So okay. That makes sense then. Okay. We're gonna keep following that. We got Bull Monkey in the house. Hey, Bull Monkey. He said, "Good morning, aunties." Y'all, he's over there in Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So next up, we have you guys heard about the incident at Mar-a-Lago this weekend, right? Where the young man, the 21-year-old man, went there with a pistol and a gas can, and he ended up being unalived by the Secret Service and the police and whoever else, law enforcement, will say. So we got a little verbiage here from President Trump that kind of gives a little insight into his thoughts about this. Now, as you guys know, um, President Trump was not at Mar-a-Lago when this happened. He was, I guess, in DC, so that worked out well. And yeah, so let's get into his thoughts about Mar-a-Lago in this recent incident, the third attempt on his life recently. Let's get into it.
Tonight, President Trump speaking out after another alarming security threat.
I don't know how long I'll be around. Got a lot of people gunning for me, don't I, huh?
The president was at the White House early Sunday as law enforcement agents shot and killed an intruder at Mar-a-Lago. Two law enforcement sources identifying the suspect as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin from North Carolina. Now investigators are trying to determine why he allegedly breached the property's security perimeter around 1:30 a.m., carrying what appeared to be a gas can and a shotgun. Police say he was ordered to drop them.
He put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position. At that point in time, the deputy and the two Secret Service agents fired their weapons.
President Trump faced two assassination attempts in 2024.
You read about all these crazy shooters, but they only go after consequential presidents.
While this investigation is underway, the FBI director is facing backlash for celebrating with the American men's hockey team in Milan. Kash Patel, a longtime hockey fan, can be seen drinking a beer and spraying it in the locker room.
You were all unbelievable.
Also holding the phone as President Trump addressed the players. Patel says he traveled to the Olympics to meet with his Italian counterparts since the U.S. helped provide security, and that he was invited to celebrate a historic moment by his friends on the team. An FBI spokesperson says Patel would reimburse any personal expenses. Tom?
Gabe, we thank you.
So they kind of slipped that in about Patel at the end. But y'all, like I said, you know, Trump said that Trump gonna figure out a way to brag about himself, okay? Like what he say? That only, I mean, I guess, you know, with him having all these attempts in his life, that you must be a consequential president. I mean, he gonna let you know that he ain't like the rest, okay? No matter what it is, he gonna let you know there's a difference between what he doing and what everybody else doing, okay? But anyway, y'all, so they mentioned about Patel and how he went over there to Milan on official business, right? Now, I think the issue that they have with Patel is that, you know, he has to travel by government plane or whatever. Like the taxpayers pay for this bill that he has for flying everywhere. So he was saying he was there on business and he was meeting with his counterparts in Italy and all that. And they had that epic video of him, you know, in the locker room with the with the men's hockey team when they won gold. So yeah, so you know, I want to say that all of the people in that position tend to get a little heat when it comes to them traveling in those planes like that because the taxpayers pay for it, right? But I mean, if that's the only way they can travel, I don't know what else he's supposed to do. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into that. But before I do, let me get to the comments first. So Boo Lucky was saying I got it right with Denmark. Okay, I'll be trying to remember now. We got Abby saying that's the third attempt at Donald Trump. Got you. Okay. Then we got Bull Monkey saying I was looking around Mar Lagoon on Google Street View with my son a couple of days prior. There's a number of scissor lift Secret Service caravans. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Then we got Abby saying, who knows? We got Big Boss Dog in the house. Welcome to the live stream, Big Boss Dog. Yes. And then we have Blackout 182 said, go back to the field. Okay. How you doing, Blackout? Yes, and we got Lewis saying, "Have you seen the DHS jet?" I have not seen it. I have not seen an image of that, but maybe I need to go look that up. Yeah. So next, we're gonna talk about this Patel subpoena, where they subpoenaed his phone records and things. So let's get into that.
Vice President J.D. Vance says the Trump administration will temporarily halt some Medicaid funding to the state of Minnesota.
Wait a minute. I'm skipping something. Okay, we're gonna go to the Medicaid fraud. Okay, we're going to Medicaid fraud. Let's keep it moving.
Over fraud concerns. President Trump's point man on his war against fraud says he wants to restore public faith in taxpayer-funded programs and bring justice to those who defrauded them. Fraud czar nominee Colin McDonald testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee today. Correspondent David Spunt shows us tonight from Capitol Hill.
Fraudsters should never be allowed to rip off the United States of America.
The man handpicked by President Trump to lead a new anti-fraud office inside the Justice Department came to Congress with a message.
Where no fraud is too big for the Department of Justice and no fraud is too small for the Department of Justice.
Some Democrats questioning whether the new position should even be established.
The worst examples of waste, fraud, and abuse in recent years are coming from inside the Trump administration. Want to root out fraud? Start at the top.
If confirmed, Colin McDonald will focus on Minnesota, where Republicans allege fraud is rampant. He also put a spotlight on elder fraud cases across the country.
And it's not just the grandmothers and the grandfathers, it's also their family members who bear the weight of these scams and the fraud that's perpetrated against them.
Democrats pointing to concerns about the independence of the new position after this in January.
It will be run out of the White House under the supervision of me and the President of the United States.
And this last night at the State of the Union.
The war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance.
But McDonald, if confirmed, will report directly to the Attorney and Deputy Attorney General, who both shut down other anti-fraud units like the Consumer Protection Branch and Tax Division.
Anti-money laundering violations are down 54%. Investigations into tax fraud schemes are down 63%.
As you mentioned late this afternoon, Vice President Vance said that the administration would be pausing some Medicaid funding to Minnesota, but he did not give specifics there. Speaking of Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz and State Attorney General Keith Ellison will be here on Capitol Hill, Brett, next week to answer questions before Congress on TV about this alleged fraud in that state, Brett.
David, another topic. The FBI Director Kash Patel out with an allegation that the prior FBI obtained his phone records, and not only his. What can you tell us about that?
Brett, this has been breaking in the last hour or so. We are told that, according to Kash Patel, the FBI director, the prior bureau leadership obtained his phone records and phone records to current White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles back in 2022 and 2023. This eventually led into the Jack Smith special counsel investigation into then former President Donald Trump. We're told that some of these records are just toll records, which don't have specific information other than times and dates. They don't have the actual content of calls, but two sources in the FBI say that Susie Wiles' attorney agreed to be recorded by FBI agents in 2023. She did not agree. We've reached out to her for comment. FBI Director Patel, in a statement to Fox News, calls this outrageous and deeply disturbing. And I will add, Brett, that we are told at least 10 Bureau employees have been fired just today over this incident, with more potentially to come. Brett?
Okay, we'll continue.
Oh, they done fired 10 people over that? Okay. Interesting. So I didn't realize that they had took his files and records years ago. I wasn't tracking that. Let me see what we got here. Anyway, so yeah, that's interesting that they took his records back in 2022, I think they said, right? But now they're talking about they're firing people now. Almost, okay, that's crazy to me. But let me get on up into these comments because I see some I need to address. Okay. Now we do have Big Boss Dog saying, "Thank you. I'll be here, giving me strength. It gives me strength." Well, I'm glad that you find some benefit here. Boom Monkey says, "I have a wander around the boundary on Street View." Okay. Big Boss said, "This clown again." Then we have Tyler Kostov. Welcome to the live stream. Why do you get involved in all of this? Why not just get on with some makeup tutorials or something? I can't bear to listen to these idiots. Well, Tyler, I don't do makeup tutorials. I don't. But let me tell you about my channel since I do have you guys here. I am my foundation is fashion. I like doing get ready with me's, try on hauls, all of the things. And I do like having my live streams where I talk to you guys about, different things. Now, originally I would talk about like more urban things, but I have more supporters that like talking about the political stuff and what's going on with the country. So I'm gonna give people what they want. So I have had 1,871 views as of right now. Okay. And that tells me that the people like what's being shown here. So I'm all about hanging out with the people that support me, us watching these videos, having chats and conversations. I'm not here to, change anybody's opinion. I want people to come here and, feel free to make their comment like how you just made yours. Okay, because I allow you to have that freedom here, everything being respectful, and that's how we do what we do here. So, if you don't want to, watch the political view videos and whatnot, that's fine. Feel free to check out my page and check out the Get Ready With Me's, the vlogs, the try on hauls, and my think pieces. That's all there on the page. I have well over I think 600 plus videos that you can check out. Okay. So I do thank you for stopping by and hanging out and engaging in the comments. And hopefully, I have addressed the concern. All right. We got Bull Monkey here saying it was big, but I kind of expected it to look a little more ostentatious. Right. Yeah, that Mar-a-Lago is an active like club. So people pay to go there. And so the president and his wife live there, but you have people in and out that are patronizing the club, like a country club type of thing, you know? So now we have Bull Monkey saying, "Hey Tyler, are you shackled to the channel?" Baby, Bull Monkey come through with them lines, honey. Bull Monkey come through with the statements. Like he do not miss. He shoot in the hoop every time, y'all. Every time. Thank you, Bull Monkey. I mean, yeah. Like I said, he's welcome to go check out all my videos on the page. But the people that support me, they like this content. We're gonna keep it going. If you want to see something different, let me know and I will add that to the rotation. That's what we do. I'm at 1918 views. We'll add it to the rotation. But anyway, y'all, back to what we just was talking about here and this whole situation with the Medicaid. Was it the Medicaid fraud? Yeah, the Medicaid fraud. Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. I didn't know about that new position that they created that be working directly for Vice President Vance. So we're gonna see, what they do. Because my understanding is that they are still the states are able to pay whomever the Medicaid, but the states not getting the Medicaid money from the federal government until they get certain things put in place, right? So this is gonna be interesting because as soon as these people don't get a payment or something, it's gonna be all over the news. Okay. Kind of like how what happened with the threatening of not paying for the food stamps last year. Y'all remember that? So next time we're gonna talk about Bill Gates. You remember Bill Gates? We did a video with Bill Gates' wife, how she kind of alluded to that, her ex-husband needs to talk about his involvement with Epstein, and that did contribute to their marriage dissolving, right? You will remember that, right? So the people at his company asked him about this. Okay. So let's get into it. Hopefully this is the next video.
We're announcing today that
Lord, it is not the next video. Remember that opening, y'all, because this one, I believe, is another video regarding the Medicaid fraud. Okay, y'all, work with me.
we've decided to temporarily halt certain amounts of Medicaid funding that are going to the state of Minnesota in order to ensure that the state of Minnesota takes its obligations seriously to be good stewards of the American people's tax money. Now, what is this going to mean? What this means is that, first of all, the providers on the ground in Minnesota have actually already been paid. The state has paid those providers the money. What we're doing is we are stopping the federal payments that will go to the state government until the state government takes its obligations seriously to stop the fraud that's being perpetrated against the American taxpayer. There are a few different ways that we're doing that. There are a few different affirmative actions that we're taking today. Dr. Oz is going to talk about those, but let me talk a little bit about the spirit of this and why we're doing it. So number one of the examples of fraud that we've seen in Minnesota that we verified that is just awful is that a program that existed to ensure that autistic children had access to some after-school services has made a number of people rich, not by providing services to needy children, but by allowing fraudsters to take money that ought by right go to American citizens and to American families, and to set up sham businesses, set up sham clients, set up people who are not even autistic but claim to be autistic in order that they benefit from the money that's out there. Now, what does that mean? Number one, it means that a lot of people are getting rich off the generosity of American taxpayers, but more fundamentally and more importantly than that, it means that there are kids in Minnesota who deserve these services, who need these services, and they're not going to those kids, they're going to fraudsters in Minneapolis. That is unacceptable, and that's the sort of thing that we're cutting off with this action today. Let me make one final point about the spirit of this. You know, one of the things I love about our country is that we're a generous country, we're a generous people. We take care of our fellow citizens who can't afford medical care because they're down on their luck. We take care of people who can't afford to put food on the table even though they work hard and play by the rules. We recognize that we're all in this together, and part of the reason why we have Medicaid, or part of the reason why we have food stamps, part of the reason why we have these programs is we want to make sure that kids who grew up in families not all that different from the family that I grew up in, that they have access to the basic necessities: food, medical care, after-school services when their family needs them but they're unable to pay. What's happening in Minneapolis, in California, in a number of states all across our country is that the generosity and the good hearts of our fellow Americans are being taken advantage of. We're taking that social contract that says that our American citizens, we take care of one another, and we're allowing a few bad actors to get rich off that generosity of spirit instead of providing the services to the kids who need it. This is disgraceful. It has happened for too long. Far too many people have gotten rich by taking what is the best of the American spirit and getting rich off of it instead of providing services to kids who need it. That is stopping today.
Okay, y'all. Okay. Y'all, I have a question. Where is Nick Shirley? Where is he at? You remember Nick Shirley was the guy that was out there in Minnesota with his accomplice going to all those daycare centers and finding out that these people really didn't have daycare centers in those facilities, right? So what is he up to, y'all? Where is Nick Shirley? Because he put Minnesota on the map, at least for me. But yeah, I guess they're gonna look into this and see whether or not there's really fraud going on out there in Minnesota. I mean, I don't know. They're gonna cut out the money and all this, that, and the other. And they were saying people saying they're autistic, but they not. Like, it's gonna be a lot. I'm interested to see what they put in place, what they find out with all this. But I have a poll in the chat here. where I asked you guys, do you all think there's really Medicare fraud in Minnesota? And 83% said yes, 17% said no, out to 6 votes. My. We got Coley Coco 2758 in the house. Welcome. They're saying he's in California. So Nick Shaw is in California. Okay. So when he went to Minnesota, he took a trip over there to do the groundwork. Okay. I see what's going on here. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know that. So now we're gonna have the real video that pertains to Mr. Gates. Let's get into it.
Turned out to Microsoft founder Bill Gates
we
his
go.
eye-opening apology for his relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. In a town hall meeting with employees, Gates admitting to 2 affairs with Russian women and what he says about the photos of him in the Epstein files. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates revealing more damaging information about his personal life and admitting to a series of stunning lapses in judgment in building a relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Today, the fallout growing as Gates was pressed by employees at a Gates Foundation town hall. According to the Wall Street Journal, which revealed audio of the meeting, Gates told employees it was a huge mistake to spend time with Epstein. He acknowledged that his relationship with Epstein began after Epstein was convicted of soliciting a minor. And he claimed that he, one of the wealthiest men in the world, did not properly research Epstein's background that would have revealed his sordid past. Knowing what I know now makes it, 100 times worse. Gates acknowledged his association probably helped Epstein rehabilitate his image. And he revealed other damning specifics, saying the men flew together on a private jet and that they hung out in Germany, France, New York, and Washington. But Gates was adamant that he never witnessed any criminal activity. But Gates did acknowledge he had affairs with 2 Russian women. And Gates also addressed these photos, saying there were pictures Epstein asked him to take with his assistants. His ex-wife recently saying Gates needs to answer questions.
Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me.
Well,
and I am so happy to be away from all the muck.
David Gates' indiscretions contributed to the failure of his marriage. And tonight, another powerful man suffering the consequences of his ties to Epstein. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers resigning from Harvard because of his relationship with Epstein. David?
Now that man has to resign from Harvard because of his relationship with Epstein. I mean, my goodness. All of the second, third, fourth, fifth order effects from having rapport with Epstein. I mean, this man, when did this man pass away? When did Epstein pass away, y'all? Let me look that up. What year was that? He passed away in 2019. That he unalived himself in jail while waiting for his trial. 2019, and it's 2026. And they finally got these files out, and you got all these people around here running amok, honey. They are running amok. This man saying he got a okay, Bull Monkey said 19. Thank you. This man around here got to quit his job at Harvard. I guess they must have thought that when he passed away, that their secrets went away with him, but this man got records. So this is crazy. So Bill Gates here, you having to sit here and explain to your staff how you were, friends with this person of not the best character. And then, you had affairs with 2 Russian women. Like, I don't know. This is crazy. And then you remember how they were saying, and they alluded into the records about him providing his wife with an STD, right? You remember that they put that in the files, but he denied it. Yeah, that's a lie. That's embarrassing to me. You got all this money and you doing this kind of foolishness. And now you around here having to explain to your staff why you made poor decisions. I just don't understand. Maybe it's just me, y'all. So As you guys know or recall, we talked about this before about how they were going to file a, what they call it? They were going to file something on Hillary and Bill Clinton because they didn't want to do they didn't want to do deposition for Epstein because Hillary said she never met this man, and of course Bill Clinton had, and they were trying to not do the deposition. Then they wanted to do it. Okay, let's do it remote or whatever the case is. But they're actually doing their depositions right now. So Miss Clinton, former Secretary of State, Miss Clinton, she started hers today, but somebody took a picture and they ended up having to pause her deposition. Now we got Abby in the chat saying 100 Mississippi Tigers. Thank you, sir. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check out Miss Hillary Clinton's deposition real quick because she went with the jello. We're not doing it. So let's get into it.
We begin this Thursday now to a closed-door deposition with former Secretary of State and First Lady Hillary Clinton in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Now, in opening statements, Clinton told the committee in part, quote, "I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add." I want to bring in CBS reporter Erica Brown, who's been following the testimony for us. She joins us live from Washington. Erica, at one point they had to stop the deposition. What happened?
That's right, Elizabeth. There was a pause and a deposition after Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert captured an image of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton during the deposition and shared that image with conservative influencer Benny Johnson, who then posted it. Now, this is a closed-door testimony, and according to the House Oversight Committee's rules, no media are allowed inside to capture images or video of the hearing, although the deposition itself is being recorded and will be released later by the committee. But Congresswoman Boebert was asked about this after the fact and whether or not she had been reprimanded by the committee chair in any capacity, to which she replied there was no reprimand, and also claimed that she did not violate any rules. Now, unsurprisingly, Democrats on the committee slammed the leak. The top Democrat on the committee, Robert Garcia, said that the move was unacceptable and a clear violation of but added that he thought it was gracious for the former secretary to continue the deposition after the fact.
Erica, what did House Oversight members of Congress have to say about the reports of missing files from the Justice Department's file release? What did they say about that?
Yeah, well, today, the House Oversight Committee chair, that's James Comer, said that he is still looking into this report to gather more definitive answers. Now, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee are pushing for all of the files related to this probe to be released immediately. And the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee, again, that's Robert Garcia, said that he thought that an omission, the alleged omission of any files, was incredibly concerning, and is pushing for the Justice Department, again, to immediately release that. Take a listen to what else Robert Garcia had to say.
We have seen the DOJ files and the archive manifest that clearly shows that the interviews and information around this survivor have been removed and are missing from the DOJ files. Where are these files? Who removed them? Those questions have to be answered.
Now, Congressman Garcia is referring to alleged accusations regarding alleged misconduct related to President Trump. And the Democrats on the committee are urging the president to appear before that committee to answer outstanding questions related to the probe. Now, it's important to note President Trump has denied any wrongdoing related to the Epstein probe and has not been charged with any crime connected to the financier. Elizabeth?
Erica Brown, thank you so much.
Now, you all know that President Trump is not going to get on nobody's stand talking about no Epstein files. We all know that, okay? But yeah, I agree that it was very gracious for Hillary Clinton to continue the deposition after that breach. It would be like a closed door session. It's going to be recorded in order to be released later. But the person who released the picture felt that she was within her right to do that. So I don't understand why she would think that, but people do what they do, right? But yeah, so I think Bill Clinton does his deposition tomorrow. So that'll be interesting what he has to say. I mean, he has a lot more to say than she does. I mean, we know that he had interaction with Mr. Epstein. So we'll see. We'll keep that in mind, right? So we have oh, we got LaBond on here saying, I'm struggling right now, but I'm waiting on a call. But girl, I'm glad you decided to hang out over here while you wait for that call. Thank you for the support. Then we have Bull Monkey saying, Bull Monkey said, money doesn't really have any bearing on people wanting to empty their sack. Rich and poor, same story. When I tell you that Bull Monkey always got some words, y'all. I mean, every time he come through with something, y'all, he do not disappoint, nor does he miss. But yes, y'all. So what do you guys think about these updates tonight? Um, there is more. Like Don Lemon, we talked about Don Lemon a few I guess a week or two ago, right? You remember he had went to the church and he was I guess reporting on the activity of the protesters with Black Lives Matter at that church, right? In Minneapolis, and then he ended up being arrested, right? So the update is that someone that was attending the church service is suing him civilly. I just saw that today. He is being sued he's in a civil suit. The lady said that, he caused her distress and harm by him doing what he did at that church that day. So I won't be surprised if other people that were attending that service doesn't come for him in a civil suit as well. I don't know if it's going to pan out anything for her, but when you have money like that, people gonna come for you. They want some, you know. So that was interesting that she did a civil suit on that situation. Um, his actual case, that President Trump and company, move forward on, that's still ongoing. So he still has that pending for him. And we'll see how that plays out, right? And then as far as Miss Nancy Guthrie is concerned, there hasn't been any real updates about that. So she's still missing. We did talk about yesterday how they upped the award to over $1 million and all that. So I believe I read that they were turning over the home back to the Guthrie family. So they saw a lot of activity, at the property on yesterday. And that's to get the home turned back over to the family, but they're going to they're going to continue the case and to look, to look for her and all that good stuff, right? So I hope that I'm hoping for the best. I'm being optimistic when it comes to her because, like I told y'all, I got parents her age, and I just do not know how I would be able to continue. I don't know how Miss Savannah is doing it. I just don't know. But big ups to her and her family. We have Abby saying, I heard about that, but Don Lemon bought that on himself. Yep. Yeah, when you have money, you have to know that people are coming, they're gonna come at you to get some of that money. So you just can't be out here acting like you just a regular person because they know who you are. They can look up your net worth and get an idea, you know, and they're gonna come for it. They're gonna file a complaint, they're gonna hope that you want to settle, and then at least they get something out the pie, right? So anyway, y'all, what else you all got for me in the comments? What else we got here to talk about while we got some time? I'm gonna wait a little bit, okay? I'm gonna wait to see what y'all have for me in the comments. And then if nothing, then we are going to go ahead and call it an evening, okay? So I'll probably be back on live again on Monday. If you are here, if you haven't done so, please support the channel by liking the live stream as well as subscribing. It's free, y'all. Help a sister out, okay? And yeah, I try to do live streams Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. But if you subscribe and when I create one outside of that, then you will get a notification. But usually Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:15 Eastern time in the PM. Okay. So I'm not seeing anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and oh wait a minute. Abby just said that Ray J nearly passed away. Oh yeah, I heard he has, I think someone mentioned congestive heart failure. That's what I saw. I'm not sure if that's 100% what it is, but yeah. Yeah, he's definitely needing to um he's definitely needing to take better care of himself, in my opinion. So we got Bull Monkey saying, "Can we have a wander around the perimeter of Mar-a-Lago before you leave?" How do I do that? So Bull Monkey, I can't do I'm not on my laptop, so I have to like pre-record the videos, the clips. So I can't do like pull up the website and do it. So now I can pull it up on this tablet probably, but I have to figure that out. So I'm sorry, I don't have that capability. The perimeter of the Mar-a-Lago property, but how do I do that? And who is Ray J? Ray J is I would say he's a singer. He's also an entrepreneur. He's the singer Brandy. If you ever heard of her, I Want to Be Down, Brandy, Moesha on the show, Brandy, her brother. And so he's had some health challenges lately. So a lot going on with him. But he's only like maybe early 40s. He's not like old or anything. But I think he was saying that he's 45. Well, he's older than me, y'all. Okay, so yeah, he's saying that he's a singer and he has months to live, potentially until 2027, because heavy alcohol and drug use, including Adderall, severely damaged his heart, leaving it functioning at only about 25%. This followed a hospitalization of pneumonia in January 2026, leading doctors to advise significant lifestyle changes, though he acknowledges the difficulty in quitting substances and is seeking treatment for heart failure. Ain't that sad? That's sad. So this is him, Bull Monkey. This is the singer Ray J. 45 years old. They done told this man that he got until whatever time he got, and he's still having hard times trying to stop doing the substances that he's taking. My goodness. Yeah. So Abby says very unfortunate. So Boom Monkey says Street View, you got OBS. It's free software for broadcast and streamers, fairly easy to set up. I've never heard of OBS. What is that? I do not know. OBS. I want Restream. Yes. Okay, so stream OBS Studio to multiple platforms. So I think I'm doing that with Restream. But the issue is that when you're using your phone, you can only do like recorded videos, but you can do like things from the internet when you use like a tablet, when you use like your desktop or laptop. But I will look into this because I use Restream. Yeah, let me look into that. In OBS Studio. Okay. So will that work with the cell phone? Let me see what you're saying in the comments. I'm up here looking at this. I need to see what you're telling me. Okay. So I have Restream, Bull Monkey. In my understanding, and this, just know I'm not an expert in this. I'm not, so I do not claim to be. If you have some knowledge, let me know. My understanding is that I can't do the website thing on like my tablet or my cell phone. I have to either do that with a desktop or or a or a tablet. No, a desktop or a laptop. Yes. Yeah, I'm getting to my bedtime, so bear with me. But yeah, I will look that up because I'm thinking about buying a laptop. I don't want to because I'm like, I don't really do well about keeping things charged, but I may do that so I can do some more things on the live streams. Like if I had a desktop or laptop, I could do like vertical and horizontal live stream at the same time directly from the YouTube platform if I had that capability. Because I do have a laptop, but it is super old, and I don't even think that it would work on here. So Bull Monkey said, yes, I've used the phone as your primary device. It took me about 20 to 30 minutes to get my head around it. So if it took you, it's gonna take me about an hour to get my head around it then. So I'm gonna look into that and I'm gonna see what I can do with this OBS thing. That'll be, let me write this down. Cause I do have a Restream account. Restream in OBS. So I'm gonna look into that. But with that, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. If you haven't done so, support the channel. Subscribe, like the live stream. Appreciate the support. I am gonna be back live again on Monday for sure. I'm gonna get my things scheduled. And we're gonna do that. So with that, y'all, you all have a great weekend, a great rest of the night. Stay warm and stay fabulous. And I will see you on Monday or on my next video. Bye.